สวัสดีครับคุณ Emmet Cohen. Nice to have you here in Thailand.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, for the question, we will talk about your new album, Uptown in Orbit. Can you say something about the concept of this album? Because it seems like you bring everything back to 1930.
Yeah, well, it's actually the 20s. So we did a Harlem rent party over the last 3 years in my apartment, just like 100 years ago in the Roaring 20s, in the same location in Harlem. We're just 100 years later, and we're facing an epidemic. Last time it was prohibition, and government didn't let you go out and drink and listen to music. And this time it was obviously the virus. And so we just decided to open our home and have a place where we could play music and hopefully offer some way to heal the world, some avenue for people to come and gather, when you couldn't gather anywhere else. And so that's the uptown part. And the orbit part is we want to let everyone in. We want to invite, we want to include everybody and have them be part of our orbit. And so there's a connection to Duke Ellington, of course, to Blues in Orbit, because I live on Edgecombe Avenue in Harlem, which is the same avenue that he lived on. So there's a lot of parallels, and the history is very rich.
I have one question about the first track, Fingerbuster.
Yeah.
Why you bring these songs? This also the original song is this is a version of Willie Smith. Why you bring this version to play in this album?
It's just something that I fell in love with the song, and it's very pianistic. I feel like a lot of piano players go through that song. It's a part of the language, but I wanted to just put it in a trio format, because usually it's a solo piano or maybe duo with the drums. But part of what I wanted to do was orchestrate it for the piano trio. For example, that Fingerbuster is the first track on the album. And for that track, we took a solo piano arrangement and we made it for trio. The last track on the album is Braggin' and Brass, Duke Ellington, which is for big band, and we reduced it for trio.
It's like you connected to the world.
Yeah. So some things we expand, some things we scale down, and by doing that, we find creative ways to make the music new and fresh.
So wonder about the sounds very much in this track. How did you do that? It seemed like the sound.
Oh well,
old sound.
Kyle is a great producer. So he had an idea. He said, when we go to the old style, why don't we record it back to tape? So he printed it on an analog tape. That's like and so he put it there and then put it back into Pro Tools.
Really cool. I love it really much.
So it's something different, and Kyle produced the album, so it made it just a little something added, I think.
For the next song, how come the idea of this song, Spilling the Tea? I love your composition very much.
Thank you very much. That also has to do with Harlem. All the great piano players, Fats Waller, Willie Lyon Smith, James P. Johnson, they all wrote their rags, and Jelly Roll, like you mentioned. They all had their ragtime things that worked for their hands, that they played. Art Tatum too. For me, I wanted to write something that was the spirit of Harlem, that had other influences as well, and it's something that I came up with, and we started playing it, and it's developed, and it's a good portrait of how we like to play together.
Yes, I love some part in these songs very much. When you played, it seemed like the unison with the drum and bass, and then you turn to another key. So can you recall it? Can you remember it?
Yeah. It has
and then you change it.
Yeah, it has a few different sections, and in the middle section we show how stride and Latin music and almost like modern kind of trap music is all connected. And it's just the same rhythm, and it's the same thing. And so we try to build the intensity with the keys, and then it goes into a Latin section, and then comes back to the original.
It seems like the tension and release.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your program on the internet and live from Emmet Press. Could you share some idea why you invite so many guitarists, Gillard Hexelman, Russell Malone? Can you talk more about them? How they cool in your opinion?
Well, first of all, we invite people in New York who represent the jazz scene. You know, people that play down at Smalls, at the Vanguard, different places. And I feel like it's important for what we were doing to show a very wide variety. So someone like Pasquale Grasso, you wanted to know about guitar players because you're a guitarist. You know, and then Peter Bernstein and Mark Whitfield, Dan Wilson. You know, all these people are all different. And you know, for me to be able to invite them and then to learn from them because they're teaching us too, and have this moment. That's really what it was about, and I wanted more people to know about them, and wanted a chance to play with them and have them, you know, interact with Russell and Kyle, and there ended up being a lot of nice guitar players there.
For the one song Cherokee that you play with Pasquale Grasso, it's very fast tempo, but you can play seem like you walk on the crowd.
Yeah.
It's very slowly. How can you do that?
Play really fast. They always teach you to slow it down. So instead of like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, you think of 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2, and you just think of the big beat, you know. You know, and you think of different claves in different ways. You know, a lot of times Jimmy Cobb will play fast and and he's thinking this kind of clave when he's playing really fast, you know what I'm saying? Ding, 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 ding.
Seems like 1 2 1 2 in your heart.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It's very beautiful improvisation.
Thank you.
This song I love it very much. In the end of night in Tunisia.
Yeah.
You play Harry Potter theme.
Oh yeah.
How come?
You know, when they have the end of the end of that song in the big band, they always like do like a pedal like, you know, and then somebody takes a cadenza. And I always thought it was a funny thing to put in there for some reason.
I love it very much. Wow, how come? Okay, let's talk about Gerard Hexelman.
Okay.
So because I'm guitar player, so when you play with Gerard Hexelman, he had a strong rhythmic, and when he play, everything is very cool down. How do you feel when you play?
It was a wonderful musical experience, and I remember on drums that day was Obed Calvert, and he brought something very open and very cool to the gig too. And Gilad's just such an amazing open musician. You know, he's really feel about the feel, about the vibe, about the big picture of music, and I think that's something that we really agreed and met in the middle, and you know, it was a good match.
You play the jazz trio all the times. What kind of jazz trio style that you love very much? Seem like a Big Event trio, Keith Jarrett, or blah blah.
I love all the great piano trios. I mean, you know, love Cedar Walton, love Wynton Kelly, man. Let's see, Ahmad Jamal trio, top. You know, the way they had their arrangements. Oscar Peterson trio, of course. Yesterday we were listening in the car to some Ray Bryant trio. Wow, Ray Bryant was killing, man. And there's just so many ways to play in a trio. Of course, Ray Brown trio too. And I got a chance to play with Christian McBride, and that brought a whole other aspect of the music out of me as well. And you know, modern people like Mel Dow or like Charlap, I got to hear both of those musicians in the past couple of weeks. You know, very inspiring. But yeah, everyone's got their own trio concept, and every time I hear something I like, we kind of pull it in. And you know, even back Fats Waller and Willie Lion Smith and that kind of music too, I really love.
You bring it together.
Yeah, I try. I try.
Okay, when you want to learn some standard jazz songs, what is your process?
To learn jazz standards, well, first listen to the melody.
Okay.
You know, be able to sing the melody. So a lot of times you find a version that of somebody singing it, maybe Ella Fitzgerald or Frank Sinatra. They're always a good place to start, you know, because they recorded so many songs, and try to learn it from there, and then just try to play it. You know, to play the song for an hour or something and see like what you can bring out of the song, what directions the song and how it fits in your hands or whatever instrument you play. Learn the lyrics, you know, if you want to really get deep into it, the meaning of the song, and then maybe how to play with a band too. You know, almost every song we learn, we have a certain arrangement of the song and a certain way of playing it.
Okay. Did you forget it sometimes?
Yes.
So I know
I'm human.
When
I'm human.
when you don't play some song, it's very long time. You forget it.
Sometimes, yeah.
And how you recall it?
The words
Oh,
and
the
the
words.
and the
Okay.
melody.
Back to the early that you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just being able to sing it, like it's like folk, it's like folk music. It's oral tradition. So if you learn it by ear, chances are you'll remember it.
Okay. Which standard jazz song that you love very much?
Wow, I love so many. One of my favorite songs ever is "Old Devil Moon."
Oh, Devil Moon.
Yeah, that's always since I started playing. It's always been just a song that is very quirky and has different twists and turns in it, and I like it very much.
Okay. As your composer, which song in this world that you think is really perfect in technique and composition?
Round Midnight. Round Midnight
Why
is absolutely perfect song.
Okay.
Introduction, the whole way of playing it can be so different. Like all the jazz masters, they all play that song in their own way. Herbie and Ron and Miles play it a certain way. Wynton Kelly and Paul Chambers, they play it a certain way. Before that, Thelonious Monk, of course. But Bud Powell, the way Bud Powell plays it, the way Charlie Parker plays it. I got a chance to play it with Jimmy Heath.
Oh, wow.
Other musicians that every time they play it, it just brings out. Jimmy Cobb, when I play with him, he said he made it right in time. There's a story where he made it right in time for the gig in Boston. His first gig with Miles, Philly Joe left the band, and he came in right in that ba 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 ba, the interlude part. And just the majesty of that song and what it represents for so many people, I think makes it probably one of my favorite songs ever.
Okay. Once you mentioned you love Thelonious Monk very much. Could you give me some advice about how to play the Thelonious Monk song?
Well, the thing about Thelonious Monk's music is that people are able to express themselves through his music in a very unique and individual way. Just like I mentioned before, all the great musicians play Thelonious Monk's music. Bud Powell played so much Thelonious Monk music because there's so much in there to digest, but it's also so much of yourself that you're able to bring through it because there's a lot of space in his music too. And he didn't write that many songs. It's only 120 something like that. I can't remember exactly, but they're all perfect. And they're all unique and they're all quirky. And I think it just makes it a great place for musicians from all around the world to come together and find that common ground, which is what the music is meant to do.
For the next question about the beginner jazz player. So when the beginner jazz player want to improvise and play, sometimes they play the scale up and down. It's not jazz language or the bebop line. Could you give me some advice about it?
To do a transcription is the only way. It's like, how do I speak the language well? You just imitate it first. You imagine you're like a child and your parents are speaking to you and your grandparents are speaking to you and you're just learning things. And then all of a sudden you say them back and you repeat them. And it's the same way with music. If you want to play a bebop line, you listen to Cannonball Adderley. And you say, oh, what did he play? Okay, I'm going to play that on my instrument, whatever my instrument is. After you do that, then you incorporate it into your own improvisations, and then you take it in your own direction. And it's a lifelong process.
Okay.
But everyone starts somewhere, and you just have to imitate first, like almost like you're like a child.
Okay. For the next one, could you give me some advice about practice the perfect time and rhythmic?
Practice slowly. Yeah.
And open the metronome.
Yeah, metronome, but play along with music. Like, sometimes when I was starting out, I play along with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, and to understand Art Blakey's time feel. You know what I mean? Yeah, metronome is good too, but sometimes then you sound like a metronome. So you also want to play with records and also to learn how to dance too. If you feel the music in your body, it's going to come out that way.
Okay. So all of your songs that you compose from your many albums, which song that you want musician to learn?
Oh, well, there's one song called "You Already Know," and I just think it's a fun tune for people to express themselves and to play together, and it's got a few different resolution points in the song which make it an interesting thing, and it's easy to memorize too. So I think if people want to learn that song, that'd be the one.
Okay, I will try
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
Okay. For the next, what is the most big problem about when you tour concerts?
When I'm touring,
Yeah.
well, jet lag is the big problem.
Oh, okay.
There's just sometimes it's hard to be away from home. It's hard to travel a lot. When we fly every day, that's hard. When we come really far places, I love to see the world and I love to bring the music to those places. But you have to remember to take care of yourself.
Okay, this is a very funny question. When you wake up in the morning or blah, 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 what is the first chord that you play at the left?
First chord,
Yeah.
D flat, D flat 7. What's that? Sharp 9. I don't know. This is a nice one too. Or the major version. That's nice too.
It's very nice. Okay.
That's one chord for you.
Which album changed your life forever?
Ahmad Jamal live at the Pershing, definitely. Solo Monk. Duke Ellington live at Newport. Also piano in the foreground.
Okay.
Wow, there's so many. Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald sing together. That changed my life. Cedar Walton. All of his albums. Yeah, so many beautiful albums, and like I go through them very slowly. So I'll be listening to something for a year, and then find something else and listen to it for long. And I find that if you bond with one album or two albums longer, it's better than like listening to a lot of music and just once or twice.
Which album or artist that you listen to at the moment?
Well, I talked about Ray Bryant. I've been listening to Cone Alma and Little Susie, which is a cool album with Bill Lee, who's Spike Lee's dad, and Mickey Roker.
Okay.
Yeah. Just been checking that out. I was hanging out with Brad Meldau last week, not to name drop, and we listened to this track together, and it was kind of it was a moment where you listen to music with people and it means something different. And I think listening to music with people is an important thing.
Okay, for the last one, what is the most important thing that musicians should pay attention, but they are not?
The most important thing about music, I think, is the people.
Okay.
People focus on the music and all that, but really it's about the people. It's about playing and having friendship and helping people. Sometimes we forget that this is a Friday night or Saturday night, and people have worked all week, worked really hard, and they have a little bit of free time, and they come and they spend their free time listening to you. What do you offer them? Something that's going to heal them and feed their soul and help them with their lives. And I think that's kind of the most important thing about being a musician, is that you're like doing this for the health of the world. We're fighting against evil. It's an important job, I think.
Okay. Do you want to say something for TIJC?
My name is Emmet Cohen, and I'm really excited to be here in Thailand. I hope this is a relationship that flourishes over many years, and I can't wait to bring more friends from New York to meet you guys and expand via Emmett's Place, via everything else. The students here are absolutely wonderful, and I'm blown away by the level of talent, commitment, and how nice everyone is. Beautiful people here in Thailand, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Emmet.
How do you say thank you?
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
Yes
ขอบคุณครับ
นี่คือบทสัมภาษณ์จากคุณเอเมตต์โคเฮนนะครับแล้วก็กีตาร์ไทยขอขอบพระคุณมหาวิทยาลัยมหิดลนะครับและงาน TIJC นะครับสำหรับบทสัมภาษณ์ครั้งนี้แล้วเราติดตามชมว่ากีตาร์ไทยจะไปสัมภาษณ์นั้นตุยท่าน
ขอบคุณครับ
เทปนี้ผมกับคุณเอเมตต์ลาไปก่อนนะครับแล้วเราติดตามช่องคุณเอเมตต์โคเฮน
ขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีครับ